Hello, hello, mic check. Hello, hello, mic check. Hello, hello, mic check. हेलो 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 माइक चेक। हेलो। का आवाज नहीं आ रहा है। तो ये आवाज सुन रहा है, फिर से गड़बड़ कर रहा है।
अंदर आ रहा है। अब ठीक से देखिए, आवाज आ रहा है हमारे लिए।
हेलो हेलो माइक चेक। हेलो माइक चेक। हेलो माइक चेक।
कैसा ऊपर
हेलो
से
माइक
भी है
चेक।
कैसा? बस ठीक है।
हेलो माइक चेक। माइक चेक 1 2 3 4। हेलो 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 माइक चेक। हेलो माइक चेक 1 2 3 4। ऊपर है। हेलो हेलो माइक चेक 1 2 3 4। हेलो हेलो माइक चेक 1 2 3 4। हेलो माइक चेक। हेलो माइक चेक। Hello, mic check 1 2 3 4. Hello, mic check. Hello, mic check 1 2 3 4. ठीक. कौन सा?
Sangaruba, Udabarukadu, Bari, Arire, Arire, Arire,
ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वाम् अनुसन्दधामि। भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। So, we saw this 18th verse of this 4th chapter in last 2 classes. So, significance of this verse, I put it before you, that it is the maturity of the Karma Yoga, the process of which, the thesis of which had been told earlier in the 47th verse of the 2nd chapter. Karmanyeva adhikaraste. That verse, 47th verse of 2nd chapter, starts from there. And this is as if the ideal, when it is matured, when it is reached, when it is achieved. So this becomes the guiding light, this becomes the criteria to measure our progress. What will happen when somebody practices Karma Yoga as extolled in that verse? It should reach here at this point. So we can always measure our progress on the path of Karma Yoga, or as such on the path of any yoga. Maybe somebody is practicing it through bhakti, or jnana, or dhyana, or karma. This is the state of the perfected one. So this is as if guiding us whether we are progressing, whether we are able to live our life correctly. So if we are living our life, we are practicing the yoga correctly, and the right transformation is coming in within us. So we will see gradually this change within us, that we are progressing towards this ideal, which is of the form of, as explained in this verse, karmani akarmaya pashet. Now this is the matter of personal correlation to this idea, practicing of this idea in one's own life, realizing it in one's own life. So its spectrum of reach is infinite, is very wide. This is not just a couplet, so which sounds very nice to hear. This is the direction in which we all should progress. This is the idea of the excellence in our day-to-day life. So again, this verse, the person who sees absence of action in action, the person who sees non-action in action, and action in non-action, he is alone endowed with the intelligence. Sa buddhiman manusheshu. Sayukta, that person is established in the yoga. And he is Krishna Karmakrut, that he is the discharger of all his responsibilities, duties. Krishna Karmakrut. He is the follower of all of dharma. And this state I explained to you in the last class, that this is implying towards the complete self-abnegation, the total self-detachment, detachment from the petty idea of ourselves, the ego, which is the mass or the junk of these attributes which comes along with the body and mind, owning that body or mind, identifying oneself to this body and mind complex. These attributes come along. You identify yourselves with it. It makes you limited. This sense of limited consciousness attached to these limited attributes of this mass of body, the physical one, and the attributes of also of the mind, which is the psychological one, mental one. One is gross and one is subtle. Your identification with this mass, with these ideas, this consciousness trapped into this body-mind complex and its attributes, the identification generated from it is called as ego. Therefore, ego is not something as arrogance. It is root of evil. But it is just a principle. It's a principle. It is bad, wrong. One cannot judge. It's just a principle. It's a confusion. It is adhyasa, attributing one thing for the other, and taking one thing granted for other. The truth is, you being the infinite, and you think yourself, or you come to understand, see yourselves as finite. This ego. The absence of this ego, this attachment, to detachment from this limited identity, the limited consciousness of this limited identity, getting free of it, or for the time forgetting it, letting it dissolve, that creates a state of what can be called as flow. I had referred to this idea of a psychologist named Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. After the last class of last Sunday, I was reading this book by Daniel Goldman, Emotional Intelligence, and very coincidentally, some passage came there, cropped up with regard to this flow, and I wanted to share some snippets of it. So what is that state of work where man forgets his identity and this idea of karmani akarmaya pashyet. This is realized that there is absence of action while being engaged in action. No, like seeing non-action in action. What is that? So that state of flow is explained. So what does he say? Just we will go through one small paragraph. Flow, the neurobiology of excellence. A composer describes those moments when his works is at its best. So, spirituality here, the spirituality of Gita, which teaches karmani akarmaya pashyet, is not something downgrading work, but taking it to the highest standard. So that's why the title, the flow, the neurobiology, or that the book which I had referred to, its name was also Flow, the psychology of excellence. So it talks about excellence, and see, this is what this composer says. You yourself are in an ecstatic state to such a point that you feel as though you almost don't exist. What a wonderful word. What a wonderful word he has penned down, his experience. As if you don't exist. And it is an ecstatic state that you have completely forgotten your own existence. Now, I have experienced this time and again. My hand seems devoid of myself, and I have nothing to do with what is happening. I just sit there, watching in a state of awe and wonderment, and it just flows out by itself. That state is explained, and that state is named by a few psychologists as flow. This is the flow, that you are as if your limbs, which are engaged in action, they are as if devoid of yourself, and you are just sitting there watching like a sakshi in awe and wonderment, and it just flows out of yourself. So, what we call as bliss, I said that we are either repulsed by sorrows, pain, misery, and attracted, lured by happiness, joy, etc. But bliss is something which signifies that when any of these kinds of these bipolar, these experiences, they are deep, concentrated, and pinpointed. They are state which cannot be explained as sorrow or joy. Rather, it is its superficial projection. That condensed state of experience, that is bliss. That is bliss. The main motivation of our lives, if it can be shifted from this pursuit of joy or avoiding this misery, this pain, and rather in the search of getting absorbed into that bliss, that would be the spiritual life. That would be the spiritual life. You can experience it in rare moments, but making it a continuous, repetitive experience, that would be the spiritual life. That would be the practice of spiritual life. trying to able to regenerate that moment of flow again and again, living in that moment, not propelled by desires, not affected by the fruits. Karmani eva adhikaraste. Ma phaleshu kadachana, ma karma phala heturbhu, ma te sangostva karmani. That is the Karma Yoga. And Swamiji says, this complete self-abnegation, that complete self-forgetfulness, that losing yourself into the present in now, that is the goal of all religious practices. All sadhana should lead towards it. From that perspective, if we see, from bhakti, from jnana, from dhyana, everything is trying to achieve that. Remember in 18th verse, in 18th chapter, this verse come. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchah. Or in the 9th chapter, that verse come, manmaya madabhakto, etc. So, sorry, we will take that verse, 9th chapter verse. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktvavam atmanam matparayanah. So, speaking from the point of view of bhakti, if taken with reference to the that 18th chapter verse, it is verse number 60, one second, or it is not 74, it is 66, sorry. And 65th verse is also very similar to this 34th verse, means last verse of this 9th chapter. First line is almost same. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. That be full of manmana. Let your mind, let your heart be full of me. Become my devotee, mad bhakto, worship me, mad, and do pranam to me, madhyaji, mam namaskuru. And what will happen? Mame vaishyasi satyam te, that this is veritable truth, that you will reach me, that I owe by this truth, because you are very affectionate to me. Here in 34th verse of 9th chapter, it says that mame vaishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam matparayanah. That being matparayana, being a constant follower of me, that you will finally come to me and get united with me. So these verses many times cited this as excellence of devotion. How do we relate these two ideas of devotion and of this karma yoga? This verse, I referred these three verses with respect to this present verse, that karmani akarmaya pashet. Because here also that word is coming. Sa yuktaha krusna karma krut, that he is a discharger of all his dharmas, that he will be doer of all his dharmas. He will not be considered failed in his dharmas if he do his actions accordingly. The way he has completely detached. So where is he? Where does he exist? He exists one with the truth. If he is not ego, then what he is? If he is not limited identity, then what he is? Then he or she is that unlimited, which is the truth, which is the Brahman, which is the nature of the Atman. He is one with it. sa yuktah, he or she is one with that truth, the God, the Satyam. And in that state, all actions done, they are, so none of his actions will be considered short of his duties, dharmas. Very great statement. So, this state, this is the way that one is surrendered to God, and thus he becomes free. He becomes one with the God. And thus, moksha ishyami ma shuchaha, that he will be freed thus. So, Karma Yoga speaks about how we live our life. When we are practicing our spiritual practices, our spiritual discipline, sitting on our asana in the shrine or in the temple, the way we remember God, how now that idea of that attitude can be taken further in our day-to-day living. Karma Yoga speaks about that. Karma Yoga speaks about breaking these barriers of this closet spiritual life, and in our shrine, and this mundane secular day-to-day worldly life, to breach these things, to break that barrier, that there is nothing spiritual and nothing secular. Sister Nivedita used exact these words. She said that Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda, they came into this world to bridge this gap between secular and spiritual. There is nothing spiritual and nothing secular. Everything is one coherent existence. There is one mind with which one is calling upon God, and it is the same mind with which he is dealing in his day-to-day affairs. True spiritual growth, true spiritual gain, howsoever small it might be, even to conceive this idea, desire it, show a will, do a little effort in that direction is great indeed. Most of the time we see that people do not want to even hear, or even after hearing correlate to it, forget about experiencing a desire to attain the true spirituality. Swamiji says that there is nothing like comfortable religion. Every one of us is seeking a comfortable religion. What is comfortable religion? That go to temple, go to Ramakrishna Math, have prasad, attend nice bhajan. Yes. And so many things. What we, in the name of religion, we do. Where religion resides really, its seat is our heart, where we have to work, where we have to progress, where we must be focused to bring that change in, slowly working towards it. Then everything else, going to Math, having prasad, listening bhajans, as well as doing our daily duties, doing house cleaning work, cleaning utensils, doing shopping, going to market, going to office. If done with this perspective, trying to attain, trying to achieve, trying to progress in this direction, in the direction of being yukta. So, developing spiritual attitude itself, conceiving this idea itself will demand sacrifices. that you will have to part away with something, your cherished notions of, oh, if I do not care enough, if I do not worry enough, so I am not serious enough. You know, we like to show worry. We like to get worried about our own children, husband, wife, etc. We like to get angry. We like to, so many ways, get entangled. And what is Karma Yoga is teaching us? Detachment. So will you be less loving? Will you be less caring for your own? No. Karma Yoga does not stop you from acting. It only says or only teaches you how you are supposed to act. You are acting, rather it shows the excellence of action, excellence of discharging any action, any duty. Our performance, mostly they are degraded due to our over emotional involvement. And Karma Yoga is teaching us to withdraw that emotional disturbance from there, establish yourself into the truth and see, watch it being a sakshi of let thing flow out of itself. So this idea we will see now in subsequent verses. Great verse from here, as if the tone of this chapter changes. So we have given considerable time in the deliberation, and this time maybe some 1.5 hours or so for this 18th verse is nothing. Whole life is needed to contemplate this verse. So we will see the next verse now, the 19th verse. What does it say? How does that idea is now taken forward? Sri Krishna in the following verses establishes the very clear meaning of it. In various ways. So 19th verse says, Yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamaho panditam budhaha. What is it said here? Yasya, of whose, sarve, all, samarambhaha, all initiatives, whose all initiatives, that every small action of ours, every thought of ours, when it is deliberate, it is arambha, it is initiative. That I feel thirsty is not an initiative, but should I myself go to kitchen to get water, or should I ask my daughter to bring a glass of water to me? One of the action you choose, you take recourse to, is a arambha. Now what is it is said about those arambha, initiatives? Every small, every time we are, whenever there is a karma, this arambha is involved, this initiative is involved. Now, what is being said here with regard to those initiatives? That they must be kama sankalpa varjitaha. Varjita, they must be devoid of. Of what? Kama. Desires. Desires, here we have to understand that kama or desire, here generally referred to as in this Gita. Very theoretically, it means desire. But in a case of passion, avega, or mostly that showing its darker side, it is the uncontrolled one, which has mostly emotional impetus, which is not being thought through. That is kama. So, kama sankalpa varjitaha, that easily without a well thought through. So, if that is well thought through, it is needed, it will be called as dharma, isn't it? It is your kartavya to do that. So, to separate it from dharma, so this is kama. That your desires, they are not essentially needful to you. That is the qualification of kama. That you feel like you should get it. It is not necessary, it is not must. The what you must, that is dharma. That is your kartavya. So, this is the difference. The kama, motivated by kama. That all your initiatives, they are free of this kama. That you are not motivated by such desires. Because just you feel that your initiatives are not propelled by such just feelings. To have something, to do something, probably to say something. Suppose I am angry, I feel very agitated, so humiliated, insulted, and then I say left, right, so many things. Is it necessary? That is the question. Necessity might be, see Sri Krishna's life, he gave the Shishupal Vad 100 times. He said that you can be pardoned for your 100 sins. And he warned him that it is now over, your limit. And then he let off his Sudarshan Chakra. Shishupal was beheaded. Necessity is something. It is not motivated by your emotional torment, nudging, coaxing of your emotions, of your passions. That I want this. Why? There is no why. So, there was one funny scene in some, maybe in some movie or something like that. So, some people are gathered outside the factory and they are saying that hamari mange puri karo. And that company management is saying, अरे but तुम्हारी मांगे क्या है? तो बोलते वो हम कुछ नहीं जानते, हमारी मांगे पूरी करो. So, I do not have any rational explanation that why I want this, but I just want that. Kama. Then sankalpa, that sankalpa, it is of the nature of that I will in future, is speaking in respect of a future time, that I will do this, I will attain this, etc. So it should be freed because you does not exactly know how the phala, because in Karma Yoga we have heard that ma phaleshu kadachana, you do not know how your efforts are going to fructify. You get bound, and when it will not favor you, the results will not favor you, you will lose your mind. You are attached, you will be bound by that. You cannot be a free person. Kama sankalpa varjitaha. So does Karma Yoga teaches us that you will be, there is no desire and there is no commitment, where you are just disoriented vagabond? Is that the Karma Yoga? No, Karma Yoga is not teaching you that you should not have any prayojana with a particular objective. Everyone works with the prayojana, with a particular objective in that direction. But in Sankalpa, you get bound that I will attain that. You say that, you commit. I will do that. Whereas Karma Yoga teaches, prescribes a very clear-cut goal, but you work and lose yourself into your effort. Give yourself everything here and now. And then whatever, however it may fare, if it does not fare as you had wished, You can analyze it. You can correct if there is any course correction is required. You can amend your efforts. You can go along. You can go ahead. That is Karma Yoga. But as soon as you set your mind, form a mindset in this form that I must have that, and then when it does not turn out, there is going to be a reaction. Because certainly it is going to be noted as a failure. Because you had attached yourself to the fruits, bearing of fruits. It didn't bore properly, the way you wanted, appropriately. You are going to be affected by it. So sacrifice indeed, it asks to let go your heart of clinging to those ideas. That desires, they may arise. You do not go along with them. You bear them. Tan titikshva, tan titikshasva bharata. It is in the 14th verse of the 2nd chapter. Agamapayino nitya tan titikshasva bharata. 14th, yes. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukhadukkada. That the contact of these tanmatras, of the sense object, the contact between your indriyas, your senses and sense objects, they are of this dual nature, shita ushna, of cold and heat, and of the, therefore, sukha and dukkha. So they are of this dualistic nature, and that's why they come and go. Agama apayinaha. So what is your way? This is the truth. This is the fact. So how a jnani, a wise man, a wise person, a sadhaka, his course of action should be that to forbear them. To forbear them. Not to lose yourself, not to get afraid that they will rob you. You stand steady and bear their pangs. You do what is needed, what is your dharma, what is your kartavya. You fulfill, not propelled by desires, but rather well thought through what is needed. You take a decision and you act accordingly. So your all initiatives and therefore all your actions, they must be freed of this kama and sankalpa. Kama and sankalpa. So for such person, these are all from this 18th verse onward till few verses, they are as if the lakshanas of the Sthita Prajna, the perfected soul. But this is the direction. It shows us that where, in which direction we should progress. So here the person whose all initiatives, samarambha, kama sankalpa varjitaha. How is it possible? He says, jnanagni, the fire of knowledge, dagdha karmanam. For such a person, all his actions are burnt by this fire of knowledge. What knowledge? That he is continuously abiding into that truth. We will come to that, what that truth is. Very beautiful. We chant that verse very often, and yet it has lost its depth significance upon many of us. So that through that fire of knowledge, all his actions are burned to ashes. Jnanagni dagdha karmanam. And to such a person, tam ahu panditam buddhaha. To such person, they call him the wise panditam, that he had known the truth. Pandit is the one who has known the truth. Buddhaha, the wise people, call him that he has known the truth. So this is the nature of the Karma Yoga, where it takes us. At the end of second chapter, we saw the Sthita Prajna Lakshana. They are just similar to it. Yasya sarve samarambhaha kama sankalpa varjitaha jnanagni dagdha karmanam tamahu panditam buddhaha. So, we conclude our deliberation on this 18th verse, and this 19th verse we have started. For today we will stop here of this loftiest of ideas of Vedanta, of this Karma Yoga, as enshrined in this greatest of the book mankind could ever have, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in the next class. Till then, Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishnarpanamastu.